So in this video, we're going to go through how you can stop having dry and boring conversations that constantly lead to nothing. The other person doesn't look that interested. They're giving you one-word answers. Emotionally, you can see they've checked out of this conversation about 2 minutes before it actually ends. And it's not that fun for you either. So we're going to go from that to having fun, lively, and interesting conversations where they actually want to hear you out. They look engaged. They're having fun. More importantly, you're having fun. And it feels pretty effortless for everyone involved. So one of my biggest challenges going from high school, where I was fairly shy and introverted, to university, where my social life started picking up, I was going to parties every weekend, was the fact that I started to believe that I wasn't memorable or interesting. Because what would happen is, at these parties, I'd make a real effort to get around the room and speak to lots of different people. You know, I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And in my head, I'd be thinking, I'm doing everything right here. I'm asking people questions. I'm trying to open people up. I'm not talking about myself too much, because I believe this was good advice at the time. Don't talk about yourself too much. Yeah, I'd bump into these same people at a different party, maybe in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. And I go and say hi to them and they just wouldn't remember who I was. They'd have no recollection of this whole 10-minute conversation we'd had. And at first I was thinking, you know, maybe alcohol was involved because it's a party, maybe they just forgot me. But then it kept happening again and again and again, and that really made me wince. That really made me start to believe maybe there's something wrong with me. Am I just boring? Am I uninteresting on a human level? There was this one guy in particular, like a friend of a friend. He genuinely thought I was someone else for like an entire year. Like I had this friend who he didn't even look that much like me. He had blonde hair, but I guess he was also like a tall white guy called Dan. And there was this other guy who genuinely believed I was Dan for like an entire 2 years. He'd come up to me and he'd be like, "Oh, yo, Dan, how's it going?" And I corrected him the first few times, but it just kept happening. So I kind of just gave up, like, okay, this guy genuinely believes I'm someone else. So yeah, and from then on, I started to believe that like, maybe I'm just an uninteresting person. I started to like flash back to things people had said to me in the past. Like people used to tell me I have quite a monotone voice. Is that them saying I'm boring? And actually I started to think like, I never really talk about myself. And part of that is because I believe I don't really have that much interesting to say. I haven't had that many interesting life experiences compared to other people. I listened to this advice online, said you should read more books. I watched YouTube videos on how to become more interesting, but none of it really worked. It still just felt like I could see the moment in their eyes that they just disengaged with the conversation and would kind of like make some excuse to leave. Like I never really had that like fun spark to any of my conversations. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Because what I never realized was I actually had every single thing I needed already in order to come across in a more fun and interesting way, to have a more fun and lively conversation. I already had the stories, the humor, the passion, the energy, all of the things that make a fun conversation. I had those things already. It was just a question of me not feeling safe. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to give you my two realizations or techniques that I used to start having more fun conversations. And the first one is, you probably are a little bit boring right now. I probably was boring in the past, but I want you to be a bit kinder to yourself and to recognize that this is not your fault. This is not anything to do with you, other than the fact that currently you probably feel like you're in danger. Now, this is actually quite an advanced thing to talk about in a video. I don't really see other people like talking about this in social skills videos. But this was honestly a life-changing concept for me. So we have this thing inside of our body called the nervous system. The nervous system, yeah. And that is responsible for protecting us from any kind of harm or danger. Our nervous system is scanning our environment at all times, looking for potential threats, looking for a reason why we should be on our guard, why we need to stay alert. So back in the day, this would have been like predators, animals, lions, tigers, whatever, that were like stalking us, that could potentially kill us. That's where it comes from. It's this survival mechanism. But in the modern day, we're not just worried about physical threats. We're worried about emotional threats too. We're worried about people. Because in most cases, the danger that we're in, it's not physical danger. It's like danger of feeling humiliated or rejected or embarrassed. It's things like these, things that we encounter in social situations. And bear in mind, oftentimes that can be worse than physical harm. Like if you've been through a breakup, most people would describe that as the most painful experience of their life. Like oftentimes that pain is worse than like falling over and cutting your knee. Like you probably agree with that. So our nervous system is not just looking for physical threats, it's looking for threats of like emotional harm, of that emotional pain, humiliation, embarrassment, shame, things like this. And these are all things that could potentially come up in social situations. Like in the past, I had those experiences in school where I was made to feel so bad that like I just wanted the ground to come and swallow me up, like getting bullied, getting humiliated in public, things which made me feel like so bad that it actually trained my nervous system. It was telling itself, I never want to feel like this again, so I'm going to do everything in my power to stop this from happening again. That's the message that was being received by my nervous system. I never want to feel this pain again. So the thing is, our nervous system is so advanced at stopping us from being hurt, stopping us from experiencing this pain, that it actually works a little bit too well. It's predicting danger, but it's often predicting danger when there's like only like a 1% of danger that could occur. Like, basically, if there's any kind of social situation that reminds me of this pain that I felt in the past, my body will start sending signals to itself that I need to be alert here, because there's even a 1% chance that something could go wrong here, something bad could happen. So I need to be on my guard. So this was what was happening to me at parties. I was being like very slightly triggered by experiences from the past, and that was making me believe that I had to be on my guard when talking to these new people, because I can't say for sure. They might be good people, but for some reason, I believe that there's a chance I could get humiliated or rejected here. So in terms of how this makes you come across as more boring, this is really interesting, because a lot of people just believe that they are awkward or boring, when actually it's just because of this like fight or flight mode that we're in currently. Because when you're in fight or flight, when you believe that you're in danger, your brain actually starts to switch off all of the things that make a good conversation. So your memory, your ability to think of like fun and interesting stories, your creativity, as in like your ability to think of what to say next, your humor, your ability to be funny, all of that gets switched off because your priority shifts from being a good conversationalist to just staying alive. If you're being hunted by a lion, your body's not thinking about how you're coming across in a conversation. If there's something that could legitimately kill you in your environment, your nervous system decides that takes priority over how you're coming across. So it reroutes all of these things that make you a good conversationalist away from your brain and prioritizes staying alive. And what effect does this have in conversations? When we can't think of what to say next, when we're nervous, that is the reason. When we start getting this brain fog, this anxious brain fog, and we can't think of any fun stories, or suddenly we become really serious and unfunny and tense. All of those things come from you being in danger. And what I like to say is that doesn't make you a boring person, because when you're feeling safe, when you're comfortable, like how you are around your best friends, your natural personality can flow through. You're funny, you're interesting, and you don't feel like you're trying that hard. And that's because you feel safe. When I'm with my friends, I'm not having like conscious thoughts like, how am I coming across? Are they finding me boring? What am I going to say next? No, I feel safe. I don't feel any pressure. Things just flow naturally. So the first realization I want you to have is recognize that you're not boring. You're actually just feeling unsafe in this setting. So the second realization I had, which actually links to the first one, this one rule that I really want you to remember, because this is what so many people get wrong, is if you're having fun in a conversation, you can be nearly certain that the other person will end up having fun. They will feel whatever you feel. So we often get like very hung up on like what exactly it is we're saying in a conversation. Does the other person find what I'm saying interesting? Are they enjoying this? Are they bored? Was what I said just funny? All of these things. And what it lends itself to is the other person having a good time? That is what we tend to focus on. That is what makes us meet a new person and instantly go into interview mode, to ask them loads of questions, to open them up, to make sure they're having a good time. But ironically, that also makes us come across as more boring, because there's no fun spark to this conversation. We're not showing any of ourselves. We're not showing any personality here. We're focused on them and whether they're having a good time. But ultimately, this is a conversation that they could have had with like 50 other people that day, especially at a party or somewhere which is like an environment specifically for socializing where not many people know each other. They could easily have had that conversation like 10 times. If you're just cycling through those basic questions, then the odds are they're going to be a little bit bored. So not only do you come across more boring, but it also just this belief that it's our job to entertain the other person. Going back to what we said before about not feeling safe, about feeling in danger, if we believe that it's our job to make sure the other person is having a good time, aren't we kind of reinforcing this sense of danger? Like getting to the root of it. We kind of want to keep this person on our side. We want to keep them entertained because we want them to like us. We want to win them over. But why do we want to win them over? Because we want to minimize the chance of them hurting us. It sounds a little bit simplistic, but like that's what it comes down to. We think if they're having a good time, then there's like less of a chance that they're going to reject us or embarrass us or make us feel some kind of negative emotion. It's not about being liked in most cases. This is what people don't understand. We don't really care about people liking us. We care about not being hurt, about not experiencing pain and negative emotions. That's what it comes down to 99% of the time. But the thing is, the more we try to do that, the more we reinforce that there is something to be scared of here, that there's some kind of danger. And that actually makes us go into our shell more. It restricts our personality even more. Going back to everything we said in the first part of the video, it makes us come across as more boring because we're more tense, because we believe there's danger there. So the second thing is a little bit tricky to implement, and it will take some practice. And it's honestly less of like a technique and more of like a mindset. So sometimes what I like about mindsets more than techniques is rather than focusing on like, like what we're doing in practical terms, if we take it down to our like root beliefs, the way we see the world, the way we see reality, oftentimes that is enough to start making like everything else fall into place on its own. Rather than me focusing on like, what exactly I'm saying, like, or like a specific joke I could make, If I take it down to like a specific mindset or a specific belief, everything else just happens automatically. My confidence comes back, my personality comes back, I become more funny. So the mindset shift that we need is to think about, am I actually enjoying this? Am I having fun here? And if I'm not, what could I do to enjoy this moment more? Yeah, because oftentimes we're so focused on whether the other person is having a good time that we're sacrificing our own fun. We're sacrificing our own fun, yeah? And what is the point of a conversation if not to enjoy it? Like, on a level, what is the point of speaking to someone if we're not enjoying ourselves? Like, too much of the time, I found conversations more stressful than enjoyable. What's the point of talking to someone if it's just going to stress me out and I'm not having a good time? So what we need to do is take it back to our own fun. How can we make this more fun for ourselves? Another mindset is just like seeing the world in general as being there for like your entertainment. The world is full of like funny moments. The world seems like a serious place sometimes, but it's also like quite an unserious place. If we're like looking for the humor in particular situations, if we're looking for those opportunities to laugh, we'll find it. And it's kind of observing whatever it is you find funny about this moment, or whatever you could do to have a better time in this moment, regardless of whether other people are there or not. So oftentimes this comes down to steering this conversation towards whatever you're actually passionate about. Because so many times we get hung up on boring conversation topics or things about the other person that we're not finding interesting. What I find crazy is people will ask questions that they don't actually want to know the answer to. If I'm asking someone questions, I'm making sure it's something I actually want to know. Or if I'm steering a conversation away from like a boring topic, in a way I don't see that as selfish, because I'm saving the conversation. Because I know that this conversation is going to die if we keep talking about this, but if I steer it towards something I know that I have passion about, that I want to talk about, then actually we're both going to enjoy it more. Because again, going back to the principle, if you're having fun, they will be having fun as well. This is something called the law of state transference, which basically dictates that whatever you're feeling in the moment, whatever emotional state you're in, that transfers to the other person. So like I said before, if we're feeling like a little bit tense, if we're feeling the danger, that transfers to them. They start like becoming more muted and a little bit uncomfortable. That's when they start giving you one-word answers. But if we're legitimately having fun, if we're telling jokes that we like, and we're laughing like we don't care who's watching, or we're talking about things that we find interesting, like actually interesting, then your passion, your fun, your enjoyment will rub off on the other person and they'll end up having a good time as well. So this is what I mean when I say that like it's not that important what you say. It's almost like how you feel about what you're saying. Because we're so focused on, is this other person having a good time? Am I impressing them? That we forget to have a good time ourselves. So again, this is what I mean when I say a mindset can make everything fall into place. Because if I'm focused on my own fun and my own entertainment, then ironically, I'm not coming across as needy. I'm not projecting needy energy like I want something from the other person. Because in reality, what I'm signaling is I'm having a good time regardless of whether you're here. I don't need you here. And that energy, I don't need you here. And that energy draws people in rather than repels them. It's like I've always said, if you're just being authentically you, if you're making jokes and you're having a good time, then the people who resonate with that energy, they will seek you out. They will find you because they know you're someone who they can like have a good time around. If people don't like that, then because I'm being myself, because I'm being authentic, they'll know very fast whether we're going to get on or not. If they don't like that, we can go our separate ways, and we've not wasted any time. But the people who resonate with your energy, they will literally seek you out. Like, I've had this happen to me. I've just been having like a great time in bars just with a couple of friends. And because I'm so unapologetically having fun, people just start like random conversations with me and want to hang around with me. Like, this is something you won't realize until you try it yourself. But focus on your own fun. And yeah, also keep in mind that I probably should have said this a lot earlier on in the video. When you're having fun, that's actually signaling to your body that there's like less and less danger. Because if you're having fun, you can't have fun and at the same time believe that you're about to die. Like, those two things are incompatible. So that's what links these like two tips together. It's like, okay, we're boring because we feel like we're in danger. But the more we focus on our own fun, we actually lower that feeling of danger. We reduce the threat level in our environment. So the two things are like completely interlinked. But yeah, I know this is a long video, lots of information, but hopefully you took some value away, my friends. If you're more interested in hearing about this kind of thing, I'm actually offering free coaching at the moment. If that's something you'd be interested in, go and book a half-an-hour call, totally free, from the link in my bio, and we'll see if I can help you with any kind of social problem. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.